Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Liberty Call. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Hope you're having a fantastical day out there on the interwebs. Apologize for being a little late. I've been running errands all day, taking the dog to his first vet appointment and getting mail at the office. So, again, I apologize for not being on time. Not that anyone really watches on a regular basis anyways. So, all right. Well, it is a little gloomy here in Colorado. It was sunny this morning. So I guess we're getting a little bit of a cold front coming through. All right. Well, getting to the news. Markets held steady as Wall Street caught its breath after a hot streak fueled by trade truce, optimism, and cooling inflation. Tech stayed in the spotlight. NVIDIA and AMD jumped on chip news while Supermicro popped 16%. But not everybody celebrating. American Eagle tumbled after yanking its outlook. With Treasury yields holding above 4.5%, investors are watching retail data and Fed chatter closely. So before we dig into all the news, I need some help from you. Would you give me some thumbs up, a like, share, subscribe, follow, and smash that notification bell button thing. All right, well, let's get to the markets. Let's see here. Kind of like yesterday, like we talked about, when the Dow and the NASDAQ are usually kind of polar opposites. So starting out with the Dow Jones, it was down 0.21%, 89 points, closed at 42,051. S&P 500 up 0.1%, 6 points, closed at 58.92. NASDAQ up 0.72%, 136 points, closed at 19,146. VIX was up today, 2.2%. It's at 1862. Canada up 0.3, Brazil down 0.39, and Mexico up 0.5%. Going to Europe, Germany down 0.47, the UK down 0.21, France down 0.47 also. Netherlands up 0.19, Spain up 0.52, Italy up 0.7, Switzerland down 0.49, and Portugal down 0.19. Russian exchanges were split today. The MOEX down 0.35, RTSI up 0.05. And the overnight markets, the Nikkei in Japan was down 0.14, Australia up 0.13, New Zealand up 0.19. In China, the Shanghai was up 0.86, Shenzhen Component up 0.64, China A50 up 1.71%. DJ Shanghai flat at 0, Hang Seng up 2.3%, and the Taiwan weighted up 0.95. All righty, so that is everything in the indexes. Let's hop on over to the market recap and see what actually went down today. SP 500 closes higher as tech continues to lead the recovery. From what? I mean, the market went down a little bit over the last month or two, but certainly not the end of the world. Certainly what I would not call a downturn that would lead to a bear market where you want to reposition all your assets and try to not catch the falling knife, wait till it hits the ground and pick it up. So. All right. The SP 500 edged higher Wednesday, marking its second straight positive session and continuing momentum after turning positive for the year. Tech stocks led the gains, fueled by optimism around U.S.-China trade developments and steady investor interest in AI and semiconductor companies. Markets paused to absorb recent trade news as investors awaited more details from President Trump's ongoing Middle East trip. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett hinted a, quote, major, end quote, trade announcement would come upon Trump's return. The president has already secured a $600 billion Saudi investment pledge. Trade relief continued as the administration slashed de minimis tariffs on Chinese direct-to-consumer imports. Tariffs on items under $800 were lowered to 54% from 120%, with a previously planned hike to 200% now canceled. A flat $100 fee remains in place. Tech stocks surged, especially semiconductors. AMD and NVIDIA rose on news of deals with Saudi firm Herein. Supermicro Computer extended gains after Raymond James rated it outperform, and the company announced a $20 billion Saudi data center partnership with Datavolt. Meanwhile, Fed officials continue to signal concern over tariff-driven inflation risks. Vice Chair Philip Jefferson, moving on up, noted that rising import costs may cloud the path to the Fed's 2% inflation target, though analysts at ING still expect the next rate cut to come in September. Maybe. On the earnings front, Cisco's report was highly anticipated. American Eagle stock dropped after pulling its full-year forecast, citing weak preliminary Q1 results. Ford also slid after recalling over 273,000 vehicles due to brake failure risks. Well, that's not a good thing. I wonder which cars it is. Overall, markets remain cautiously optimistic, watching trade, tech, and central bank commentary closely as potential catalysts for continued growth. All right. So everybody's in a decent mood right now. Well, we'll see what happens in a week or two when the next thing happens. All right. Up next, got an article here. WTI rebounds from overnight dip, but drill baby drill remains elusive. This is from Zero Hedge. All right. Oil prices edged lower Wednesday after 4 consecutive sessions of gains driven by optimism surrounding the U.S.-China trade de-escalation. The pullback came in response to a larger than expected build in U.S. crude inventories, as reported by the American Petroleum Institute, the API, with official Energy Department data largely confirming the trend. Crude stocks rose by 3.45 million barrels, echoing API's report of a 4.29 million barrel build. However, draws were recorded at the Cushing hub, 1.07 million barrels, as well as in gasoline, 1.02 million barrels, and distillate inventories, 3.16 million barrels, suggesting ongoing demand strength in refined products. Meanwhile, OPEC Plus is preparing to add another 411,000 barrels per day to global supply as part of its phased rollback of its 2.2 million barrels per day voluntary production cuts. Saudi Arabia appears to be leading this move in a bid to regain market share, with geopolitical context adding weight. President Trump began his first international trip of his new term in Riyadh on Tuesday. RBC's Halima Croft noted that U.S. has publicly taken no credit for OPEC's accelerated phase-in, but the timing aligns favorably with Washington's interest in lowering global oil prices amid rising inflation concerns. Despite rising crude inventories, refineries are operating at their highest seasonal rate since 2019, with expectations of increasing output ahead of the summer driving season. This could lead to lower gas prices and help ease inflation pressures. OPEC's May report maintained a 2025 global demand growth forecast of 1.3 million barrels per day, exceeding the EIA's recent estimate of 1 million barrels per day. OPEC also trimmed its non-OPEC Plus supply growth forecast to 0.8 million barrels per day. The International Energy Agency's, the IEA, monthly outlook due Thursday will be closely watched. WTI prices showed resilience, rebounding from overnight losses. Yeah, because if the Saudis and OPEC and all them start flooding the market with more oil, that's going to really push down on prices globally, as far as raw crude, and then obviously that has a lowering effect on the refined products that you get at your gas station and such. So, yeah, I mean, to me that's good news. I mean, I'd love to have $1 a gallon diesel, but I just don't foresee that occurring in my lifetime again. So could happen, but granted, what will be the value of the dollar at that time, and who knows. All right, got one more article also from Zero Hedge. White House, Qatar deal to generate 1.2 trillion in economic exchange, but wait. So let's get into this article and see what they're working on there. President Trump's Middle East tour continued to make headlines Wednesday with the announcement of sweeping defense and trade deals between U.S. and Qatar. Chief among them was a $200 billion agreement for 160 Boeing jets, Dreamliners, and 777Xs, powered by GE Aerospace engines, and for Qatar Airways. Boeing stock rose 1.7% following the announcement. Let's hope they put all the doors on correctly. In defense, deals included a $2 billion agreement for MQ-9B drones from General Atomics and a $1 billion counter drone system purchased from Raytheon. A joint declaration on defense cooperation and investments valued at $38 billion was signed alongside a broader economic cooperation framework that the White House said could be worth $1.2 trillion. Though skeptics question the accuracy of those figures, given Qatar's modest GDP of about $200 billion. Are you saying that President Trump is being hyperbolic? No way. I know it's shocking. In a surprise move, Trump also met with Syria's new leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa, formerly known as Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, ex-head of al-Qaeda's Syrian affiliate, just a former CIA asset. The meeting signals a dramatic U.S. policy shift, with Trump encouraging Sharaa to stabilize Syria, sign the Abraham Accords, and assist with counterterrorism efforts. Okay. This guy's former ISIS. I doubt he's going to help with counterterrorism. Sharaa still remains on the U.S. terrorist list, though a $10 million bounty was recently lifted. See, Trump could have, snatched him up right there and drug him back to Washington and said, hey, give me my $10 million. But he didn't. All right. Meanwhile, Qatar central bank governor met with Elon Musk during Trump's Doha stop, suggesting potential business ventures. Trump emphasized regional cooperation and investment, declaring this is good for Israel, highlighting how U.S. Gulf ties may indirectly benefit Israeli relations. Like, I give two craps about Israel. Amid this, the Gaza crisis and broader Middle East instability loom behind closed-door talks. Trump's Gulf diplomacy aims to showcase regional leadership, bolster U.S. industry, and reshape post-conflict alliances, all while projecting a Trumpalist narrative ahead of the 2026 election cycle. Yeah. Well, again, going back to Israel, if they were better neighbors to their, the people around them, they probably wouldn't have all these conflicts. But, they're always snatching land from the Palestinians that, they claim is it's just sitting there empty. Weird. We had to toss people out of their houses. But, anyways. And, shocking, those people get mad and, want to shoot them. Again, you steal somebody's stuff, they're going to get back at you. All righty. Well, that's everything that I had to cover for today. So if anyone needs anything from me, where do you want to go? DSAFinancialGroup.com. All your financial planning needs can be addressed there. So give me a call. I'll be glad to help. Hope everyone out there has a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to everyone again next time. Adios.